Hey, good day to you. This is Todd. I'm a regular dude walking in the Word. Hey, we've been talking about relationships, going through Ephesians here. We talked about relationships between husbands and wives and children. And the couple last episodes, we were in Ephesians chapter 6, verse 4, talking about how parents are supposed to raise their children. Okay, it was one verse, but it was loaded with a lot of information in that verse. We're moving on to employees and bosses. Okay, those are the next two episodes, and it talks here about slaves and slave masters. At that time period, over 50% of the people in the Roman Empire were slaves. Okay, so don't get the idea that slavery was a thing that Paul or God thought was a great thing. Okay, it was just a reality of life in that time period that you kind of had to put up with. All right, it wasn't. It later on, the United States and then other countries were following with that to abolish slavery. But it's still happening today. Don't be deceived into thinking, today there's no slavery. Well, there's more slavery probably today, if I remember right, than there was during the early American heritage. So, but it's talking about slaves and masters, but this applies to us because in some way we are, as workers, we are supposed to report to our bosses, and then our bosses are supposed to treat us in a godly way. Okay, so this today it's entitled "Look Busy, the Boss is Coming." All right, and what happens is this happened back when I was a teenager. I'd work at a place, and the guys might have been lazy, but they really pick up the pace when the boss came walking by, and so that make it look good, and then they go back to their slow pace. So let's read here today. It's taken from Ephesians chapter 6, verses 5 through 8. All right. It says this: Slaves, obey your earthly masters with respect and fear, with sincerity of heart, just as you would obey Christ. Obey them not only to win their favor when their eye is on you, but as slaves of Christ, doing the will of God from your heart. Serve wholeheartedly as if you were serving the Lord, not people, because you know that the Lord will reward each one for whatever good they do, whether they are slave or free. Okay, the big thing to see in this verse is this, where it says, serve wholeheartedly as if you were serving the Lord, not people. Okay, so again, I go back to that illustration to look busy, and it happens like in many workplaces, where you're just lazily going along, but when the boss comes along, or someone in authority, then you pick up the pace and act like you're really working. But we need to do it as unto the Lord. The Lord can always see this, okay? And I was guilty of this when I was doing, we were doing, back in high school, we were doing soccer. It wasn't work. It was just training for soccer. And what would happen is we would be sent out on these long runs. And back then in Sarasota, out east of 75, it was country. Okay, so you'd just be on this dirt road, just running out there. And the coach would say, hey, I want you to go out. I want you to run, 3 miles, whatever it was, and then come back. So we would go out there and we would run until we were out of sight of the coach. Then we would start walking and just chit-chatting and walking and stuff. Okay. Then when he would have a little moped, and back then the moped was kind of loud. You could hear it, buzzing up the road, coming up the road. When you heard that buzzing, then you moved your arms, like you were running, not running too much, but you sure didn't want to tire yourself out. So you'd be moving, running, and then when you got closer, then you'd actually start running. Okay. Well, obviously the coach probably figured it out real quick what we were doing, because when it came game time, we were all out of shape and couldn't run that far because we had been basically cheating during our training time. And the same thing happens in our workplaces too. We're we're really cheating the boss. And God has not called us to that. We are called to be a representative of God. And we're called to, according to this, to work according to God. And so God would always be watching us. And in the same way, when we work today in the different jobs we have, I tell everyone that's working for me, you need to work like the customer is watching you all the time. Because in reality, with all the cameras and stuff in all the houses today, there's a high chance it's happening, okay? And the cameras are hidden away, but there's a good chance the customer is watching you all the time. So we need to be working as unto the Lord. That's the bottom line. If you work as unto the Lord, a lot of the problems are solved. All right? Thanks for watching. I'm a regular dude walking in the Word, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow as we continue our journey through Ephesians. Lord's blessing. I'll see you then.